All go through the basic experiences in the corporate world, or even if it's a small business. We all have bad bosses. We all have things that we need to do to manage our time better. We all need to build our confidence. These are all things that we experience.
Welcome to another great edition of Living Bold with Purpose podcast. And I'm Dr. B, and I'm your host. And today, because I get so excited when we get to do these, because we get to learn about people, what they love to do, what they don't love to do, what they're, when we talk about living boldly with purpose, I think about us all having a purpose. Like, in my mind, why God created us to be on the planet. And we are all individuals. We are all different. We all have different reasons different talents and different skills. And finding that purpose, I think some of us search longer than we want to find what we really love. And Robert, when I see, people who are not living in purpose, and, that they act like they're miserable, and, they complain so much about their lives, and you want to ask the question sometimes, like, so why do you keep doing what you're doing if you hate it? Like, we all have these choices, right? Especially in our country, in America, where there's so many opportunities to really be able to pursue what you love. And one of the things that I also realize is sometimes we might think we love something, then we do it for a while and realize that we don't. I liken that to where I find people who say, I love to, I thought I'd love to work with wood and be a carpenter or something like that. Then they build a few cabinets and realize all the other work that goes into it. Like, oh, I really don't like doing that. or people say, well, I love to write. So I'm going to write a book, like both of us have done, right? And then they get to the whole writing process and go, wait a minute, I don't like writing. I thought I did. Or then you find the person who gets to start writing and really wants to get there, and then it flows, and they love doing it. They can't wake up to get up in the morning to do it. I have a sister who writes vampire books, and I always think, and she's like a best-selling author on, several chapters and several versions of vampire books. And sometimes I go, I can't imagine, even like, I grew up with you. Where does any of that come from that jumps into your mind about creatures that don't exist, that are killing other people? Like, but imagine, and she just loves, and we get to talk about it and all that kind of stuff. And so living with purpose is actually something I think everybody should be able to do. Like, my business in my, coaching business is helping people become the person they need to be in order to do what God put them on this earth to do that purpose that they're doing, and help them find that. And so today, I've asked Robert Lane to come on. I was fortunate enough to be on his show a few weeks ago, and we got to talk a lot, and I couldn't wait to hear his story, and to wait to, it's so interesting. When you are the guest, you end up talking all the time, and you don't find out a lot about the person who's the host. And so I like to flip that around, where I can go, wait a minute, I get to now be the host, and I get to hear, because, just the questions he was asking me, and the things that I saw that, he was at, just the little tidbits that he was adding in there. I'm going, man, I need to know more about this man. And so I've asked him to really just kind of talk about, what he thought his purpose might have been when he was a child, and how he grew up, and the different, experiences that he had that led to maybe, his younger adult life. And then now, how did it change to what he's doing now, where I know he feels like he's living in his purpose. He feels like he's doing exactly what he was doing on this earth. And sometimes, my friends, it takes a while to figure that out, because you got to try a few things. So, Robert, thank you for being on. Thank you for being willing to spend a little bit of time with us to talk about these things. And go ahead, and you can start your story however you see fit in growing to who you have become now.
All right. Well, I want to try to give you a condensed version, so it's not too long.
So it's not 3 hours long. You can go a half hour, 40 minutes, however long you want to go. It's just I had one guy who actually, I kind of said the same thing. And I said, some people maybe do their story in 5 or 6 minutes. Some people do it in 45 minutes. And we got to, he was 60 years old, so about as old as me. And then we got to about age 45. We were at an hour. And he's still like, we're going to have to do a double show because you got so much that happened into your life. But it was interesting. It was captivating. It was intriguing. So it wasn't bad because I was, I was so into his story that I even forgot the time and forget to look at it. So yeah, don't worry. I'm sure you're not going to go an hour and a half on your story, but I want you to be thorough enough though to let people know why you are who you are. So.
All right, sounds good. Well, currently, maybe this is a good place to start and then go back to see how I got to where I am now. I started my own coaching business in 2020 called Robert Lane Coaching, which is pretty convenient. I started off as a career coach and life coach, and then eventually through the process, which I still do, but I do that more on a speaking engagement level. But as a one-on-one coach, I now am an audiobook coach and producer, so I help nonfiction authors narrate their own audiobook. So how did I get to this place? I think I will go back to when I was a kid, because it was a significant situation that happened back growing up, and I do talk about it in the book that I published. It's actually in the first chapter, and that's how I got involved in the entertainment industry, and that's where I worked for 30 plus years before I left the business. And when I was a kid, I was best friends with the kid who lived in the house behind ours, and he lived with his grandfather. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that his grandfather was a gentleman named Robert A. Maddy, and Mr. Maddy was a special effects guy in the movie business. And he worked on, he was a special effects guy who did a lot of Disney movies. He did Mary Poppins. Okay. He did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, with all that big squid.
It was way harder to do special effects, right? Because now you use CGI and use a computer. Not that that's right. not hard, but when you had to cut out paper and make things look the way and make it on film, I'm sure that was way.
Yeah, and back in the day, CGI did not exist, so he built these incredible things for special effects. And actually that movie won 3 Academy Awards, and they were for the technical aspect of it. So, but I remember one day I was over at Craig's house, his grandfather's house, and Mr. Maddy got a call from some guy named Spielberg.
Oh, wow. not a household name or anything.
Yeah, not a household name. But it's funny because I remember Mr. Maddy, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like, I just got a call from some guy named Spielberg, wants me to come out of retirement, because he was retired at the time. I come out of retirement to work on some movie about a shark. And he was talking about Jaws. Yeah. So Robert Maddy is the guy who did the special effects for the movie Jaws. Now, of course, I don't think Mr. Maddy nor any of us knew that at that time what impact that movie had in the movie industry. Jaws was the first summer blockbuster. It started with Jaws, and that is a trend that still continues in the movie industry today as summer blockbuster. But it was Jaws that started it all. And one day, Mr. Maddy says to me and Craig, "So you want to go see a shark?" So we get in the car. He takes us to the hangar that they were building the shark for Jaws. And so you walk in there, and there it was, this 25-foot, mouth agape, scary thing to see as a kid. But the back half of the shark was all opened up. So you saw all the hydraulics, the mechanics, everything that made the shark work. And it was fascinating. And that was my first exposure to the entertainment industry. And it really blew me away. Even as a little kid, I was like, I was blown away. And I knew that I wanted to be involved in this somehow. I didn't know how at the time, but somehow. And that really was the start to being interested in that industry. So eventually, after I went to college, I got a degree in broadcasting, started my career in radio, and which led to working for, actually I got a job working for Playboy Radio, doing their radio show, which again, like you talk about purpose, and that's a really good thing, because as we go through our life journey, and we know the phrase, when one door closes, another one opens. And I also like to expand on that, being when one door opens, that can also lead to another bigger door opening and another bigger door. So it isn't always about a negative experience, then creating a positive. You can have positive create another positive. So just, something that I like to always keep in mind. So the negative that turned into a positive was Playboy let me go day before Thanksgiving.
Oh God.
But that's okay, because I ended up going to recording school because I wanted to learn more about my craft as an audio engineer. And when I did that, there was one program of this course. It was one of those, what do you call, trade schools, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
And one of them was about audio post-production for film, and that just grabbed me. I love that, to create sound design and all these things that you do to make a movie come to life. So that really interested me. So I got an internship in Burbank, California, at a post house where I was able to hone in my audio editing skills. And then I eventually got a job at another post-production facility. Again, working your way up the ranks. I was always a runner, and the runner is the person who does all the menial jobs: vacuuming, cleaning windows, washing dishes.
Yeah. Nothing to do with audio engineering.
Nothing.
The toilet paper in the bathroom.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about working at that particular facility is that you had to work your way up. So you start off as a runner, whatever aspect of the business you wanted to work in, because it was a full production house. My thing was audio. So they're like, okay, make friends with one of the audio engineers and then train with them on your own time, because we're not paying you. And then maybe if you become really good friends and the audio engineer wants to help you out, maybe you can be their assistant, and then eventually get a job, an official job there as an audio editor. But this process takes years. You're a runner for 1 to 2 years, and then you get promoted to work in the film vault, and then from there so it's a process. But again, here we go about opportunity. It went from a door closing to being open. Now a door opened, it was getting this job, and now another door opened from that. The VP of the facility came down and talked to me while I was washing dishes in the kitchen. and he wanted to know what my backstory was. And he says, I have some ideas. 2 days later, he comes back and he says, I'm going to offer you a position to be our scheduling assistant for the facility, and you'll work with our scheduling manager. And so he offered me a real job with real pay. It wasn't the $10 an hour I was making as a runner. It was actually something decent. And the beauty about that was I only was a runner for like 1.5 weeks. It wasn't
Really?
1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah. Only 2 rolls of the paper got switched that way.
Yeah. So again, opportunity. Now, it wasn't working in audio per se, but it was a great job and it was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So I took it. Then a few months later, the scheduling manager left to work for another company. So they just promoted me to be the manager of the facility. Again, another opportunity. And here's the other crazy thing. I get a random call, a few months later, I don't remember exactly when, and somebody who says, I'm the VP of Fox Media Services at 20th Century Fox. You came highly recommended. Would you be interested in being a scheduler for our audio department? Random call.
Yeah.
And I said, who recommended me? Well, I can't tell you that. And so I'm like, okay. So I went down, I interviewed, weighed the options. Do I stay? Do I take this job? And it was like, no, you got to go work for a major studio.
Of course, yeah.
so, and so I did. And that's where I spent the last about 14 years of my career in the business, was working at Fox Studios. And that scheduling for audio job eventually turned into being a feature project manager. So overseeing the studio's current features and their catalog, and converting everything into digital files for streaming. So that's basically how I ended up. Now, let's talk about a door closing.
Okay.
That opens up another opportunity, because here we are. It does work, it happens both ways, as we know. So Disney buys Fox. That was the big deal that happened in the industry a few years ago. That was crazy. I think it was in when did we get the announcement? 2017, 2018, something like that.
Right around there.
And then 2020 was when, the deal had to be done. So it was either, and this was the choice, either they keep you and you work for Disney, or they let you go. No other option. You can't say, well, I don't want to work for Disney, but I still want to get my severance. No, that means you quit, you get nothing.
Wow. So you go work for Disney is the choice.
Work for Disney, or we let you go. And you do get a severance, because that was part of the deal.
Okay.
So here we go. I get called down, and I was on the first round of firings.
Wow.
But again, that may have been a door closing, but what a great opportunity. I feel was a huge blessing, because sometimes you feel trapped in a job. And even though you want to leave, you feel like, I don't know how, or I don't know what I can do. I got bills, I got this, I got that. I need this job. And, fear sets itself in, and we're afraid to take a chance on doing something that may be risky. But as long as you're doing a calculated risk, it's worth it. It's worth it. Now, I knew I didn't want to work for Disney. That I already knew. And I also knew that I just didn't want to go back to the corporate world.
Yes.
And the other thing is that, a lot of people were losing their jobs. So the influx of talented people all scrounging, trying to find work at other production facilities or studios, what's the word I'm trying to think of? The pool of talent was just overwhelming. So that's what you're competing against. And I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go there.
Well, I don't blame you. Just a quick interject here. When you're talking about your story a little bit, I think about my son, because he said, he went to school to be a graphic designer, and his dream job was working for Pixar. That's what he wanted to do more than anything. Moved up north at the time, went in and he worked for a couple design studios, and then he started working in the bookstore at Pixar. So just so he could get in the door, start meeting people. They let you take free classes, all those things they happen. And then so he starts moving up, and he's like at Pixar University and doing all these wonderful things. Disney buys Pixar, right? And so kind of the same thing happens, except for a whole bunch of people got laid off at Pixar just the same way they were at Fox. And so my son kept moving up in the Pixar ranks because everybody was leaving. And so now he's at Pixar, and he gets loaned out to Disney to do all these like graphic designs and Disney. I think the last one was Disney Paris. He did the graphic that goes around a ride or something. But just to think, that is like the process in the corporate world. Well, the difference between yourself and my son is my son's 33 years old and 31 years old, right? This is his purpose. That's all he wants to do is storyboard and do animation and do graphics and all that kind of stuff. Whereas you're going, wait a minute, no, I don't want to be in this rat race anymore. I've done this for 15 or 16 years. And I think he might come to that conclusion, maybe 15 or 16 years from now. But right now, he's that hungry kid who keeps taking advantage of all the other folks that are maybe like yourself are waiting. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But like you said, so for his doors opening is when your door closes and opens into something even greater, right? Something
Absolutely.
even more exciting. So yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to interject that. It's so parallel.
Yeah, totally. And that's great. And again, if your son is passionate about what he does, that's what it's all about. Follow your passion, live your dream. Don't follow your dream, live it. Do it, because you can. You really can. You just got to, do the work. You can get it done. So yeah. So I remember the day I decided. Luckily, I got a decent severance.
Mhm.
Thank you, Fox, for that.
There we go.
So I was able to live off of that for a while and figure out what is it that I want to do. So I did want to do something that I felt would be more purposeful, to be worthwhile, that really had something that I can give towards helping people. And so that's when I thought, you know what? I love helping people. I love coaching. I'm gonna start a new coaching business. I'll just call it Robert Lane Coaching, and start off as a career coach / life coach, and take these experiences that I've had over the past 30 plus years being in that industry, which you of course can apply to any job that you do, because we all go through the basic experiences, in the corporate world, or even if it's a small business. We all have bad bosses. We all have, things that we need to do to manage our time better. We all need to build our confidence. We all, these are all things that we experience, not only in the corporate world or just in a job, but also from the personal aspect as well. So I had some people say, "Hey, you worked in the industry. You must have some great stories to tell." And I'm like, well, I guess I kind of do. There are some experiences I can share. So that's what prompted me to write my book, which is called Lights Action You. And Lights Action You basically takes, I share a story or an experience from the entertainment biz, but with that story, I wanted to tie in a life lesson. I wanted to tie in a tool or technique, things that you can utilize and learn. This was my experience. This is what I learned from this experience. Here are some things that you can do that can help you if you're in a similar situation. So, being to entertain with the stories, I hope, but I want you to get something valuable.
Yeah, maybe you can give us an example so people can go grab the book of like one of your, maybe one of the short examples that they might find there that they go, oh, I gotta go read this. What would be?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the Jaws story, that's chapter 1.
Okay, there we go.
And I got my, the book looks like this.
Okay.
There you go. But I put pictures, pictures of in here as well. So, but some of the other stories, like I have a story about communication. Okay. And I share a story when I worked for Playboy Radios, and how there was a situation where you can say anything and everything on that show, except brand names. They did not want the hosts or anybody to mention brand names.
Well, it was radio, so you couldn't see it, right? Like nowadays with video and everything else, like I guess I got a New Balance shirt on right now, right? That would have to be like all fuzzed out. But when you're on radio, as long as you don't say it.
Yeah. But that was a challenge. It was a challenge because this is how we talk. Hey, can you grab me a Coke from the fridge? Coke, Coca-Cola. That's a brand name. Nope, can't say that.
Or say Maddy, right?
Yeah, my nose is running. Can you grab me a Kleenex? Oh, can't say Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand name. Got to say facial tissue.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because some of the brands are synonymous with that item. Like you said, Coke, just you might be talking about a soft drink, but we just say Coke, not meaning an actual Coke. But yeah, like you said, Clay, the one I thought it was Band-Aid, where
Band-Aid.
I don't know what it's called. I guess you get hurt, you put something on. I can say Band-Aid, but that's a brand, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. It was crazy. So part of my job as I was engineering the show is I had to keep track, because they did the show live on XM satellite radio, and then XM would go back, and if there were brand names, they had to edit them all out. So I had to keep a log of when it was said, who said it, and what was said. And I used to have pages, pages. But
you had to do that live while they were talking, or so you couldn't miss a word in every show. You had to
yeah.
oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I don't think I would have lasted too long.
It was crazy, but it also became a kind of a game.
Yeah.
The two girls who hosted the show would compete against each other. Who's going to say the most brand names?
So they would do it on purpose, just so you all had to edit it out.
Well, no, it was actually whoever said more was the loser.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh.
So one day,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so one day, one of the hosts wasn't there. So it was one girl who was solo hosting the show. And she actually started talking about when she was, a dancer on a show for Fox. And she said, Fox. And I go, Fox. So I just looked at her. I brought it down. And she stops mid-sentence. She's like, what? What did I say? I didn't say a brand name. She's talking to me. This is live on the air.
She's like, you're in the background, right? I love it.
And I'm just like, and she looks, she goes, Fox? What? You got me for Fox? You radio narc.
Oh my gosh. There's like 9 times just going back and forth with you. Oh, that's
so it was funny because obviously being on satellite radio, you can listen to it across the country. So most of the listeners were truck drivers. And so when the truck drivers would call in, they would use their handle, their CB handle. This is Midnight Rider. This is Ace. This is, so they never gave their real names. And then they also gave like trucker names to the two hosts. But after that whole radio narc incident, all of a sudden now, when people called in, they're like, you pick up the phone to put them on air. Hi, is this radio narc?
Oh my gosh. Oh my
so I was labeled.
You were labeled the radio narc. Oh my gosh.
This hat was made by one of the listeners.
Oh my gosh, it actually says it on there. 205 radio. Oh gosh, that's so cool.
Because it was on XM radio channel 205. Now at that time, Sirius didn't exist yet.
Okay.
So there was only XM. Sirius, of course, came out not too long after that. And as we know, they merged and it is to what it is today. Yeah. But back then it was only XM.
Only XM radio and you were the narc. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, so you guys are going to have to go get the book to find all these stories that are in there. That is so cool. So when you talk about, your purpose and finding that, I think it goes all the way through. You're working now for Fox. You're doing a lot of you're doing the scheduling and doing all this wonderful stuff. Did you kind of feel you were in purpose yet there, or you were just in a season of, I know this isn't going to be forever, but I enjoy what I'm doing?
I mean, the corporate job itself, it's a corporate job. It doesn't matter where you work. It's movie studio or, any other corporation. It's a corporate job. You deal with the same things. We were never allowed to turn down work. We were, whenever we asked for help to get a skeleton, we were always a skeleton crew. So we never had, can't you get us an internship? Can't, someone to come in to help us? No.
Always working harder than you. Yeah. To meet deadlines and all that kind of stuff. And
oh yeah,
you guys are getting it done, so we're not going to hire anybody else because you guys are figuring it out. Right?
Yeah, figure it out. So from that aspect, that's the bummer of working in the corporate world. But the fortunate thing for me being there at a major movie studio is I wrote a short film called Idol. And I do talk about it in the book, and it's in a chapter that's called "Help! I Need Somebody." and the goal of the chapter, basically, when I share that story, is don't be afraid to ask for help, because there are people out there who can do things better than you that will make your end product be so much more better. Because we all like to, hang on to that control. We all like to wear all the hats, be the jack of all trades, but that's not necessarily the best thing for what you're trying to do. And that was the lesson that I teach in the book, because I was wearing a lot of hats when I did this film. But the great thing about being at 20th Century Fox is I asked my boss if I can go into their mixing bays to mix my film, and they let me do it. They didn't charge me for it. They let me come in on my own time when it was empty, and I got to work in a great studio, professional studio, at
One
a
of the
major
best in the
movie
world,
studio.
right?
I was like, whoa, this is great. But I'd go there on the weekends and I'd spend 12, 14 hours, Saturday and Sunday mixing, and because I did a 5.1 surround mix, so a stereo mix of the movie. And I had all this great stuff, so it was really fun, and so that was a great benefit. Yeah. And again, that just ties into don't be afraid to ask, because you never know. They could have just said, no, you can't touch our stuff. But they allowed you to do it. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are people that want to see you succeed.
I do. Yeah, that's so cool. One of the things you just said that was just so that I'm learning now, you say success leaves clues, is that something you may not like to do, somebody else probably loves to do. And so why am I going to spend my time, trying to figure out, trying to learn, trying to do something that I probably won't like anyways. And then I spend all my time just to save, sometimes you might save a few dollars, but it ends up costing you. I can remember like when my father-in-law, he loves carpentry and putting cabinets together and doing stuff. Well, I'll go put a cabinet together. It looks terrible, right? I can have him come over. We spend half the amount of time. It looks really good. And my wife loves it. So why would I want to continue to have my wife hate on me because I'm terrible at doing something? And my father, in this case, isn't even really charging me to do it. So why would I? So I can say that I did it? That to me is so silly when I think about you helping me, do the audio for my book. I've been playing around with GarageBand and, all the whatever it is, trying to get the sound to be right. I'm like, why am I spending this time doing this? I know I don't love this part of the business, but why not, go to find somebody who's a professional at it? And I think so many of us, especially when we're in our purpose, need to stay. And we find that's why I'm here, not to go I'm in a position now, I don't need to mow my own grass. So why would I spend hours and hours unless I just love, I have a pastor friend who just, he could probably afford to have somebody mow his grass, but he loves it. I mean, like laying down on the ground, cutting blades of grass and making sure it's perfect. It looks like carpet and all that kind of stuff. There's not a place in the world that I can think of a time where I would want to lay in some grass with some scissors.
Yeah.
Do it. So
yeah.
I love that you said that, because there's so many of us, like you said, who try to do everything. Now, sometimes you're in the corporate world, like you said, and they expect you to do everything because they need to get the job done. They don't want to pay for somebody else to do it. They're like, well, we're paying you for your time. So if you're going to be here for this amount of time, then you figure out how to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you just brought up a really good thing about you just love and do what you do. You love what you do. If it's something that either you're not good at or you don't like doing, get somebody to help you out. After I wrote my book, I had authors approach me because, of course, I had to make it into an audiobook, being an audio guy, right? And then I had other authors asking me how I did it and if I can help them, and which that is what inspired me to expand what I do and just move, not only doing the career coaching, life coaching, but now I created an audiobook coaching program where I take the authors through the entire process, helping them set up their own recording space, teaching them how to be compelling and engaging and authentic, and then getting them published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. But the coaching is one side, the editing is the other side. And that is something that has to be done. If you want a great audiobook, you can't cut corners. You just can't, because it's a representation of who you are. Don't cheapen your author brand, But again, the big factor of doing this is there is hours and hours and hours of editing that are done. I don't want the author having to worry about it, and that's part of what I do and what I offer. if I spend, I probably spend on an average, depending on the size of the book, 50 to maybe 70 hours of editing per audiobook. You
Wow.
go through it in real time. You have to do it that way. You can't just throw it through some restoration app. Okay, it's all clean. What if there's a word that's slurred? What if there's a mispronunciation? What if there's too long of a gap or too short of a gap? What if there's a mouth noise that you can remove? There's so many factors that you have to listen to it. And again, getting help from somebody who knows what they're doing and that person who is helping you wants to do the best that they can because they want you to succeed. I mean, that's my take on it. That's why I do what I do. That's why I love doing what I do, because I want that author to sound fantastic. I want them to love their voice. And that is one thing that a lot of people have an issue with, that we do talk about, that we do mindset exercises to get them to be confident and to just love this wonderful sound that comes out of your body, because that is part of who you are. That's your author brand. No one sounds like you. That's what makes you so unique. And that's why you narrate your own audiobook, because you stand out in the crowd. You are unique. No one can replicate you. And that's why I say, if you have a nonfiction book and you're telling a memoir or a story, or whatever it is, if you're a coach, right? Do you want someone else narrating your book, teaching your coaching program? Yeah, it's like, that's not right. Because you are unique, and that's how you stand out. That's why another narrator can't replicate you, and definitely not AI, because that's not even a person.
Oh my gosh, and that's what everybody's asking me to do right now. Why don't you just have an AI narrator read your book? I'm like, but then they're gonna miss my stories. I got several stories, of what happened with me and using accents and all that kind of stuff. For me, I like my voice. Yeah. I just don't like my ability not to be able to read my own writing, even if it's printed the way it is. I'm reading my book and I'm like, wow, I can't even get through 2 pages without how you think before, well, this is what I think I said, and I just read something that's not even in the book, and I'm like, wow, Brian, where did that come from? So I know I need coaching, and I know I need to do it right, because I only get one shot, right? I'm not going to do an audiobook and then throw it away and then start another one. Maybe some people do that, but if I do it right the first time, and I think that's another thing. And maybe you can talk about this a little bit, because I know you've been a life coach and you've been helping people figure out, how to do whatever it is that they're trying to do. Maybe walk me through some of the things that are important when you're helping somebody. I've always heard that anybody who doesn't have a coach doesn't deserve to be a coach. And I've been coaching track for 38 years. I'm like, I need somebody always helping me improve. But at the same time, when I'm coaching people or helping people like you have, there's certain commonalities, and then there's some nuances with that person. What are some of those principles that you were able to always help somebody with?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's some, really basic things that you can do to get yourself grounded and focused and be in the present moment, not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future. Be in the present moment, really, because that gets you focused and gets you in your zone, especially with any kind of project that you do. And especially, when you're narrating your own audiobook, you got to be in your zone before you hit that record button. But like a couple of things, and I talk about it in the book as well. There's a story I share, and my catchphrase for that story is, I am who I am, I do what I do, and I'm not ashamed of it. And basically, the story is there's a gym on the Fox lot, and my building, and walking from my building to the gym took about 10 minutes to get across to the.
So you've got to work out to go to the gym.
Yeah, you got to work out to go to the gym. Yeah, totally. Totally. But I didn't have a regular gym bag. I had a double bag brown paper bag. That was my gym bag. And my coworkers would tease me about it. Now, did you get a real bag? Come on, But I liked my gym bag. I had everything set up exactly and stacked the way I wanted it. And even people in the locker room would tease me about my gym bag. Well, sometimes making that walk across the studio, I'd feel a little self-conscious. I'd lose a little bit of confidence. Uh, and I shouldn't, you shouldn't do that. So I would say that phrase. I would first say, I don't care what other people think. And you say it as as a statement of fact. You're
Mhm.
not saying it vindictively. I don't care what other people, you're not being mean or vindictive. You're just stating a fact. I don't care what other people think because I am who I am. I do what I do, and I am not ashamed of it. I love my double bagged brown paper bag.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I mean, and we do, right? We do get self-conscious about how we believe other people perceive us,
Yeah.
knowing they're thinking probably the same thing about you looking at them, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if you notice me looking at his paper bag or whatever it is. Unless the person is just, subtly into themselves so much.
Yeah.
But most of the time, we're worried about how we talk or what we say,
Yeah.
and the person that's next to us isn't thinking anything
Didn't
about.
even think, yeah, so they're not even thinking anything about it. But there is a happy ending to this story.
Okay. Yeah.
Eventually, I had coworkers bringing brown paper bags to me. And it's,
Oh my
hey,
God.
we got you another gym bag.
Oh my God, so cool. So not only did they acknowledge that you are who you are and you didn't care what they thought, they said, well, let me participate
Yeah.
in this process with him because that brings us together in relationship, which is so cool, right? Because
Absolutely.
they didn't care about you, they wouldn't have brought you a paper bag.
Right.
Right.
Right. And even people at the gym were like, that's really not such a bad idea, because they have their expensive gym bags, and then once they get dirty and stinky and you can't clean them anymore, they throw out this plastic. I was like, well, I got 2 brown paper bags. Once they get worn out, I put it in recycling, and then I just get a couple more, and I pay nothing for a new gym bag.
I pay go get my groceries, and then they give me the bag with it, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so cool. Well, and I love that. I am who I am. And how many of us, when we're thinking about becoming that person, that has to be part of that equation. Is I can't be who others want me to be.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I can imagine when you left Fox, and now you're saying, okay, so I left. I got this much time to be able to do. Now, who am I to go do what I really want to do? Right. And I can't really care about, you have to care enough where you're doing something that somebody will give you money to do it so you can live.
Sure.
But, but you can do it in a way that you get excited about getting up in the morning.
Absolutely.
So what's your life like now? Are you getting up when you want to get up and doing what you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, Dr. B, being an entrepreneur is a tough business. If it was easy, everybody would do it. That's just the way it is. It's a tough work, but you got to do the work. You got to, I guess my piece of advice to people, when you follow your purpose, be resilient, have tenacity, love what you do, don't quit, don't give up. It's like that story about the miner who was mining and mining and mining, and then he quit, and he was inches away from hitting the mother lode.
Yeah. Well,
So just do it. Do it, love it, appreciate it. It's hard work, but the rewards really outweigh the journey, the struggle of the journey. And we all go through ups and downs. But yeah, I love getting up in the morning. I love editing on audiobooks. I know for some people it'd be very tedious to sit there. But again, I'm passionate about it, and that's what I love doing. And I love helping people. And I look at it this way. I go out and I do speaking gigs talking about the career coaching and life coaching aspect, which is great. And I do that. I don't do one-on-one coaching or group coaching with that anymore, because I feel I can reach more people and help more people and inspire more people in a bigger setting doing speaking engagements. So I reserve that to do that. And then, of course, one-on-one coaching with the authors to help create their audiobook. I really focus on that. But it's just great. It's great to know that every day I wake up at the same time every morning, at the same time that I used to wake up when I worked in the corporate world. I just kept that time.
No, I know. The difference, like for me anyways, is I don't have to get up and go somewhere.
Yes.
But literally, if you think you're going to be an entrepreneur and then not get up and work, then you're pretending that you might as well get up and go to work, because you're just going to be so frustrated because you're not going to make any money. You're not going to do things. You are probably going to spend more hours, working on stuff. But I think the difference is I get to work on it in my time frame. There's nobody telling me I have to go do this and then switch over to this. And then it's like when we go to school, and I don't know how we came up with this in school as a teacher. It's like every 45 minutes, change your focus and do something else. And then 45 minutes later, change your focus. As if in the real world, you can go to work and every 45 minutes do something different. It's just mind-boggling how we came up with that system, maybe in the factory system back in the industrial age. But we're so behind in education sometimes when you just go, if you're going to work like that, then being an entrepreneur is, no, you don't need to do stuff. Tell me a little bit about your family and your, just your, like, what you love to do in life. Maybe not, I won't say, tell me all your, your secrets about your family, but just what drives you to do what you do. I mean, you love doing that portion of it. Yeah. But sometimes we do things so that we can go do even some more fun things with the people that we love the most. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, a couple of things that I love doing. And again, it all fits into living your life with purpose. And that is, I ran cross country in high school, but I've been running ever since, and I still run to this day. However many years ago it's been, but I still go out. I live in Sedona, Arizona, so we have lots of trails. It's beautiful to to run on the trails on the Red Rocks, and so that's something that I love doing. And for me, it's very meditative. Some people hate running, but for me, I love it because I'm out there in nature, and I get to think, and I get to talk to my higher power. And it's a really enjoyable thing for me, and relaxing and very meditative. Another thing is I've been a musician for, I don't know, since I was 13. And I'm still passionate about making music, and I have my own band. I guess I would say solo artist, but I go under the name of Lane's Lair as the artist. Okay. And I've released a couple of albums already. I'm working on the third album now. Again, because I'm passionate about music, and I feel that that's just another way to tell a story, share stories that hopefully can touch other people who hear my music. And maybe I talk about something that maybe it's similar to something that they experience, and they can relate to it, and maybe it can help them in some way. So that's just another thing that I'm really passionate about doing. My wife, she's a fly fisher. She loves fly fishing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you guys are both like into just being by yourself for a while and just.
Yeah, I mean, for her, that's her meditation. She's what was that movie? A River Runs Through It. Was that it?
That was Rivers from Robert River, right? Yeah, just out there.
Yeah, that's my wife. She's out there in her waders, man, just doing her thing.
Oh, that's so cool because you're able to do that. When I think I was a sprinter, hurler, short distance, and so I don't like running long distance. I was teasing. I've been coaching track now for 38 years, and I love doing that. And so I was literally this fall talking because I'm gonna, I start races and stuff, and I was doing some cross country meets, and I was asking the cross country coach, like, how do you we just went on a 10-mile run, and like, what do you think about for 10 miles? Like, what could possibly go into I mean, that's me saying it, but realizing that everybody is unique and everybody is different, and everybody, to think about being a musician and stuff. I would love to have the talent to be able. I keep telling my wife I'm going to go, buy that YouTube video where the guy plays all the chords, so I can play like 180 songs with 6 chords or whatever. But I love the fact that you get to go do stuff, and I think some people who get so caught up in doing something. Mm-hmm. That they forget that why are you doing it? Yeah. When you think about why are you doing it? Like, what is the end goal? Just to do it? When I think of you doing your audio engineering, and I know that you love it, and but you don't do it so that that can be all you do for the rest of your life. I mean, if you got up every day and all you did was audio engineer, you love it, but I think you would want more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the beautiful thing about being an audiobook coach and producer is that when I'm in editor's mode, I'm focused on editing. So
Yeah.
I'm not really listening to the actual story because I'm very, very technical.
Yeah.
When I do the final output of the audio file before I upload it for publication, that's when I really get to listen. And the reward for me is that every time, and I hear this all the time, but every time that author just pulls me into their story. And that is a testament to their ability. Yeah, I may have coached them, but it's them. It's not me. It's them. It's hearing them tell their story, and I'm listening to it. And then I'll email them and say, "When are you sending the next chapter? I want to know what happens next. I'm excited. I want to edit your next chapter. Send it on over." Because that is really exciting for me, and that, I guess, is the driving force with doing what I do. Seeing these authors just create something really incredible. And a lot of times they think that they can't do it. And it's like, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah. When I think about The Pursuit of Happiness, and I know it's a movie, and I think
Yeah, right.
the goals are all, to have joy and to be happy. Are you there? I mean, are you living in that happy life now, or the things you're still pursuing, or what is
I
that like?
think it's a good question. I think that I have goals that I have yet to reach, that I still want to reach. I am pursuing those, but I'm learning as we get older and wiser. I am learning that you need to take a moment and just stop and look around you and be grateful for what you have, and even go back and look at how, like you say, the journey of what got you to where you are now. There are a lot of great things that happen in your life. It's not all doom and gloom. You need to focus on positivity. You need to focus on the good things that have happened in your life, no matter how big or small. And I tell people all the time, first thing you wake up in the morning, think of 3 things that you're grateful for. And it doesn't matter how big or small that is. I'm grateful that there's food in my refrigerator. I'm grateful that the sun is out today. I'm grateful there's gas in my car. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my husband. Whatever it is, gratitude is really key, because that it allows you to really think about the things that you have and how blessed you really are. You really are. The little things do matter. It's just really important.
They do. I was just thinking when you said, I'm grateful that my wife didn't squeeze the toothpaste tube from the middle.
See?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. Hey, as we're kind of winding down on time, what are some things that you wanted to talk about today that we didn't get to talk about, that you wanted to make sure that our listeners are able to bring? I have enjoyed this conversation, and I love that I know way more about you than I did when you spent time with me. But I also want to make sure you have the opportunity to talk about whatever it is that you like to.
Sure. One thing or there's a couple things, so I'll try to be quick. One of them is fear.
Okay.
Fear creates barriers and stops us from doing things that we want to do, and we need to break down those barriers. So, and I do talk about this in the book, because I had a chapter of, I think the chapter is called Fight, Flight, or Freeze, and I was in a situation where I was so overwhelmed and I didn't know how to deal with it. So it was later on when I learned about dealing with fear. So just here's something simple of a catchphrase that's called face it, embrace it, purge it, replace it.
Okay, face it.
Face it, embrace it, purge it, replace it.
I love it.
And that's basically a thing that you can do to deal with fears. Face your fear. Facing your fear basically means acknowledging it. So let's say maybe it's you're afraid to do speaking gigs or talk in public, or maybe you're afraid to ask for that raise, or maybe you're afraid, whatever the fear is. you're acknowledging the fear. So embracing the fear. I don't like saying confronting because confronting is negative.
Yeah.
Embrace the fear, meaning not only are you now acknowledging it, but now you are stripping away the layers to find out what is the root cause of that fear. Why are you afraid? Maybe it is public speaking. You're afraid to talk in front of people, and maybe you had a situation when you were a kid and your mom made you stand up in front of a crowd of her friends at a party at the house and make you recite a poem or something, and it just scared you, and it was a traumatic experience for you, and maybe that was the root cause. It could be anything, but finding out what that root cause is, and again, embracing it. You're not confronting it, you're just embracing it, and maybe journal about it, write it out, talk it out, face it, embrace it. Now, once you do that, you purge it, meaning you're moving it aside. Now, I understand that fear may come back. It's not like, oh, it's gone forever. It may come back, but what you're doing is you are moving it aside to do the fourth step, which is replace it. And you're replacing it with positivity. You're replacing it with a positive affirmation. Whatever it takes to reprogram your subconscious to not be afraid anymore, and to say, you know what, I have a great voice. I'm not afraid to speak in public because I'm confident, or whatever affirmations work for you, but replace it with something positive. And that's really, it's I know it's simple, but it can be hard to do, but it does help. When you face your fear, you embrace it, you acknowledge it, and then you move it aside so you can bring it and replace it with something that's positive. That that really will help you deal with scary situations. And like I said, that's something that I did mention in the book. But
No, I love that. I'm thinking of like, how do you replace things? Well, part of it is repetition of doing it. Part of it is maybe even a new way of thinking of things. Like, if you're thinking of public speaking, I'm scared because I think what they're thinking about me. And so I purge that and say, well, I'm replacing it with the information that I'm giving could change somebody's life.
Yes.
And so now that thought process goes from, oh man, I took it off of me and what I'm feeling and put it on, if I don't do this, if I don't get good at this, then there's other people in the world that won't be, affected by the things that I know have helped me so much.
That's beautiful. That is great. That is a really, really great thing. A great way to approach that. 100%. And remember that the subconscious, just real quickly, the subconscious, what are you fueling your subconscious with? Your belief systems, your habits are the fuel that fuels your subconscious. If you have negative beliefs and bad habits, your subconscious is going to be like, okay, but no, put good fuel. No more bad fuel. Put good fuel.
The A grade stuff, not the the premium, not the octane or whatever that you put in there. Yeah, because I think that's a lot about, even with my book, There Is No Tiger, and talking about that overthinking that we do. Putting that stuff in there. So, Robert, thank you so much for being part of this today. You and I will be talking, I promise you that, as far as me getting stuff done. But for those of you who are watching, I would just encourage you to subscribe and hit notifications, because you are going to resonate with some of these interviews. You're going to resonate with somebody who is living their life boldly with purpose. And I think that's our goal, to do that for all of us who are doing it. And sometimes we just don't know how. Sometimes we get so much inside of ourselves that we can't figure out, what end to even look at, because we're not venturing out there. And so take the opportunity to be able to do that. I appreciate you guys being, on the show today, and realizing that you absolutely can live boldly with purpose if you've decided to. I believe your God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to. And we'll look forward to talking to you all on the next one. Robert, don't go away.